Bridesmaid of Reddit who was involved in a Bridezilla wedding. What happened? She asked 16 girls to be bridesmaids. In the year and a half between the engagement and wedding, all but 6 dropped out. 3 were her sisters. She wanted 16 separate shades of blue and 16 different styles of dresses for each bridesmaid, then threw a fit when the store didn't have that many options. She demanded everyone pay for a week-long bachelorette party in Vegas, including her share, and then got mad when some people opted out. I was a single mom/college student at the time. Her parents gave her a $20,000 budget and she ended up spending $100K and demanding they pay for it. They took out a loan they are still paying off. She wanted everyone to have the same shade of hair, so she asked the 2 blonde bridesmaids to dye their hair. They declined. She paid for nothing for the bridesmaids. Traditionally the brides pay for something, the hair/makeup or the dress, but demanded we purchase specific shoes, jewelry, dress, etc plus hair and makeup, and stay the entire weekend at the hotel she was getting married at. All told, costs for the wedding not including a gift was well over $2K per bridesmaid. This was mostly amongst college-age women in a poor/middle class area. She also had 3 separate engagement parties/bridal showers. Final straw for me was when she demanded to see my toast a month prior so she could edit it. She ended up rewriting it totally. I skipped the wedding totally and ended our friendship. They did end up getting married, and 6+ years later he seems absolutely miserable. Man, that lady sounds horrible, but her idea for the shades of blue on the dresses sounds like it could be neat. Better if they are all the same dress than line them up, so you have a gradient effect going on. I wonder if anyone has done that. It's definitely a cool idea, in theory. But 16 different shades and 16 different styles of dresses is way too much. It ended up just looking like a bunch of random people showed up to a wedding wearing totally different dresses. They didn't look like bridesmaids' dresses. Some of them photographed really dark. The navy looked black, so it just wasn't very cohesive. Bride was blonde. All bridesmaids except for me were brunette. She asked me to dye my hair brown for the wedding because she wanted to be the only blonde. I suggested that instead I just give up my bridesmaid spot. Thankful to this day, since I heard the dresses and bachelorette party cost all the other girls more money than I make in a month. I like your style. Even the blonde hair. Except that, maybe she should dye it. Smile. The best. Great thinking. Jesus Christ. I can't imagine giving a crap about something like that. I love you, and you're such an important part of my life. Would you be my photo prop? I was almost in a Bridezilla wedding. I had an ectopic pregnancy, baby attached to my tube, which then burst, and I almost bled to death. She got engaged shortly following my ectopic. When she asked me to be her bridesmaid, she told me that I would be required to wait to try to have another baby until after her wedding in 1.5 years. Not because there would be a small child at the wedding, not even because she didn't want me fat at her wedding, but because if I lost another child, it would take away from her engagement and wedding. I was so shocked I just declined and have never spoken to her since. Update: my cousin is on Reddit. She wrote me a scathing email about how mean everyone was to her, and I needed to update this and tell everyone it was her second wedding and she wanted it to be special this around. Also I needed to defend her. Instead, hi Jessica. Keep sending this to grandma. I really don't care. F that lady. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm honestly shocked there's people out there who think it's okay to talk out loud like that. I was shocked too. She's my baby cousin, so I always assumed she was just a little immature, but after this, I realized I was letting too much slide. It wasn't hard to cut ties. The hard part was when my grandma asked me to put it behind me and just go to the wedding. Sigh. I'm not that good of a person. Now a little immature would be her making a snide comment that you looked fat or something in an ugly dress she picked out. She was downright evil with that comment. The fact that you didn't punch her and knock her out when she said that means you are a good person. That's not being a bad person. If anything, your grandma should ask that to apologize. This was my sister's wedding, so hold on tight. My sister had 10 bridesmaids. Most of them were her sorority sisters from college. They wanted to plan an elaborate weekend for the summer, while most of them were still in school without jobs. When I asked, hey, who will pay for this, my sister got pissed that I even asked. When I also reminded all the bridesmaids them that our father who had stage 4 cancer wasn't doing so well and that maybe the bachelorette/bridal shower should be close by, they all flipped thinking I was being insensitive to the bride. I was promptly asked not to be a bridesmaid to my own sister's wedding over these two things. I was fine with this as she was a Bridezilla and I spent time with our dying father. He died 2 weeks after her wedding day that he couldn't attend because he was in hospice care one day before her wedding. To me, she put herself before our ailing father and it still makes me mad. I'm sorry about your dad. I'm glad you got to be with him instead. That's totally narcissistic behavior. If my father was dying, I'd get married by his bedside. My cousin did that when her mom was in the hospital dying. Otherwise she would have never seen her only kid get married. I used to worry that it was taking away from little cousin's wedding, but it's been around 20 years and she's still married and never said anything about missing out. They at least took pictures with him. IDK, the whole day was messed up. I hope your sister's brain keeps her up at night with remember when you went on that bachelorette party instead of hanging out with your dying father. Bridesmaid to a Bridezilla here. The bride spent a lot of time crying and carrying on whenever she didn't get her way because it was her wedding and we should all do exactly what she wanted. Which is not to say we didn't, we sure did. She wanted everyone to justify her irrational and horrible behavior because it was all about her. She didn't enjoy it much when I told her she was wrong for kicking someone out of her bridal party, terminating the friendship, and pitching a fit because a girl couldn't make bridesmaid dress shopping because she was sick and had to go to the hospital. This is also coming from the same woman who got angry and didn't speak to me for months because I didn't come see her to congratulate her on her pregnancy when I was home on furlough for a week at Christmas. That's gonna be a fun mom future teachers will have to deal with. We actually have the non-retail version of the I want to speak to the manager stereotype, which is the I want to speak to the principal kind of parent. Is the haircut the same? The haircut is actually the same. I hope you're not still friends. We are not. I enacted the slow fade and we haven't spoken in about a year now. My wife's best friend is a florist by trade. Gifted her services to decorate her friend's wedding. Big cost savings. Wedding goes as planned, all is good. Afterwards bride and bride's mom get pissy at florist friend who didn't give a gift in the wedding card, didn't even cover her/husband's plate. Let's conveniently forget the $1,000 in floral products gifted to the wedding. It's a rift that never healed between them since. My mom and I shrugged off the people who didn't bring gifts. Their presence was a gift. Thank you everyone, but I didn't marry my mom. I married my husband. This is how it should be. You should invite someone to your wedding because you want them there for such a big day in your life. Not because you're counting them as just another gift. But they need another veggie peeler. Seriously, and we had a lot of guests. Invited over 300 people. About 200 came. I have a big family and 90% of the guests were from out of town. They have to get flights or drive, pay for a hotel, pay for at least a meal or two, and many were still very generous in their gifts. But my uncle, mom's younger brother, being there was a wonderful surprise. Another entire family, my aunt, uncle and their 7 kids, all came. They were there to celebrate with us. That's more than enough. You don't get that choice. Half the list are parents, friends and their families. So at 50, 60 a plate you kind of expect some return out of it. There's a lot of arguing that goes behind the scenes of who's going and who's not. It's not as black and white as you make it sound. My first job out of college, a colleague got engaged and asked 3 colleagues to be her bridesmaids, in addition to one friend from high school. I had only known her for a matter of months, but I didn't feel comfortable saying no because she was one of my bosses. In addition to being in a wedding for someone I barely knew, which is shitty in its own right, there were so many horrible things about this nightmare Bridezilla wedding. First, I ended up hosting both her bachelorette and her shower because no one in her life planned anything, and she showed up to her own shower an hour late, hungover and wearing pajamas when she mandated that everyone dress for a luncheon. She ordered our dresses from Etsy as opposed to any bridesmaid dress company, and they looked like seafoam green raw silk pillowcases with holes cut for the arms and head. They tied in giant bows in the back, and we all looked like literal infants. She wouldn't let us wear heels with said dresses because the groom was kinda short and we all had to buy new flats in a specific shade of gold. She wanted us to wear our hair in a really ugly, extremely complicated updo and said we would have to pay to have one of the hairstylists do our hair. We refused. The wedding was on a Sunday in an extremely inconvenient and far away location, and it was not the Sunday of a long weekend. The rehearsal dinner for this Sunday wedding was Thursday and started at 4 in the afternoon, requiring everyone to leave work in the middle of the day. She forced us to stay at an expensive hotel in the area the night before the wedding for no apparent reason, and refused to pay for our hotel room. Fun times. And that's why she has no friends and had to have work colleagues she barely knows in her wedding. Cringy. Touche. Always a huge red flag when most of the bridesmaids or groomsmen has known the person for a year or less. Your words are strong with wisdom.